Blackhawks pick up a win versus Toronto. This was a real strong effort from the Blackhawks, and they come out with 2 points in this one, a 3-2 final. I want to set the stage for a few of my takeaways. Now, if you watch the game, you already know what I'm about to say, but I do just want to set the stage a bit. So Sam Rinzel heading into this game was a healthy scratch. Jeff Blashill noted that he wanted just kind of a reset for Rinzel. He hasn't quite been playing as good as I think we all know he can, especially, I hate to keep going back on that 9-game sample from last season, but he hasn't quite been there this season. Blashill also said that he's just been giving up too many scoring chances. So it was a little bit of a reset for Rinzel, and the Blackhawks ended up going 12-6 with him scratched. Now, a few injuries I do want to talk about before we get into kind of the game flow and such. So Tyler Bertuzzi, he was not on the ice for practice yesterday. He did participate in morning skate before tonight's game, but he did not end up playing. Jason Dickinson remains out of the lineup, though I think he is nearing a return, but wasn't quite ready. Frank Nazar did, however, draw back into the lineup. The Blackhawks ran 12-6. Those were all 12, including Nazar. There were all 12 of the healthy Blackhawks forwards played in this game, which I think is the first time all season that's happened. And staying on the injury note, do want to mention Nick Foligno left this game on his last shift of the second period. He blocked a shot, looked like in the wrist hand area, and went right to the locker room. It did not look too good. He did not return in this game, so that's something to monitor. Moving forward, Blackhawks have been hit with a lot of injuries recently, so hopefully nothing too serious for Foligno, but not a great sign. It didn't look too great that he went right to the room and did not return. I'm sure we'll get an update on him, though, in the coming days. But the Blackhawks going 12-6 in this game allowed for some extra opportunities for Artem Levshinov in particular. I'll just say it. I thought this was Levshinov's best game in the NHL. He was buzzing tonight, and I think a lot of what has to do with that, or at least a fair reason that Levshinov had so much success tonight, was because he was paired with Wyatt Kaiser for the majority of this game. The Blackhawks rolled consistent D pairs with with six defensemen for a majority of this game up until maybe final 5 minutes or so when they were protecting the 1-goal lead. They mixed and matched after that at that point. But for most of this game, Levshinov was playing with Kaiser, and I think that really helped him feel comfortable and have a really good game. He was so good offensively. He was walking the blue line well. He was using his vision to create chances. He was getting pucks to net. He was credited with 4 shots in this game. That also goes along with 4 blocks and 2 hits in what is tied for a team high in ice time with 21 minutes and 34 seconds, tied with Alex Vlasic. They played the same amount, and yeah, this was just Levshinov's definitely his best game. He created a few high-quality scoring chances. The first one came in the first period where he set up Ryan Green for a one-timer that got the Blackhawks on the board. In the second period, he had one of the best shifts I've seen in a long time. It started where he set up Wyatt Kaiser for a shot that rang off the post from Kaiser. Kaiser had a decent amount of the net to shoot at, ended up bringing it off the post. It led to a William Nylander breakaway right after that, but Levshinov flew back and disrupted that breakaway, even though he jumped in on the rush to create that scoring chance. And then on the way back down the ice, Connor Bedard with the kind of a spinning, nifty pass to Levshinov, who dangles in, goes to the backhand, and Joseph Woll just sticks out the right pad to get a toe on the backhand from Levshinov. That was one of the most fun shifts I've seen in a while, and it was just the Levshinov experience 100%, and I can't believe he didn't score that one at the end. He had multiple chances for his first NHL goal. It's crazy he's still looking for that, because you would think he would have it by now, but he was really good. He created a lot of chances. I thought there were a lot of shifts where he played well defensively as well, so he looked very comfortable. I think playing with Wyatt Kaiser has something to do with that. I'm not going to say that's the sole reason, but I think that may have played a factor. But yeah, Levshinov, his game has been getting better and better as the season has gone on. We saw what the healthy scratch early in the season did for him. Hopefully that does the same thing for Sam Rinzel. That just gives him a little reset and allows him to be the player we know Rinzel can be. So big game for Levshinov. Do want to shout out Connor Murphy as well. His ice time has fluctuated throughout the year. He's played as low as 8.5 minutes this season, but tonight he got 21 minutes of ice time with the Blackhawks, running 6 defensemen, and had 3 blocks and was playing really well down the stretch. Really solid minutes down the stretch with the Blackhawks protecting that 1-goal lead for the final 5 minutes. So do want to give Murphy a shout out as well. He had a real solid game tonight. Before I get into the game flow, speaking of tonight, got to give a shout out to Spencer Knight. In this one, he stopped 31 of 33 shots. He was credited with 1.84 goals saved above expected, which I believe builds on his league-leading March, which now is around 20 goals saved around expected on the season. He continues his magnificent start to the year, had just a few huge saves per usual to keep the Blackhawks in this game, to keep it tied, to keep the lead for them at various points throughout the game. So another just really good game for Knight. I don't want to take it for granted. I feel like maybe I should be talking about it more just with how good he's been playing, but I don't have much more to say. Just he's been really good for the Blackhawks. Do want to get into the game flow now. This game opened with a Ryan Green goal in the first period. I mentioned that was the setup from Levshunov. That was the first goal of the game. The Leafs responded at the end of the first with about 45 seconds left. Nick Robertson scored to tie things up heading into the second, where this was an area the Blackhawks were working on at practice yesterday. They were doing some line changes, focused for the far line change in the second period, and did a couple drills trying to correct their poor play in the second period. That's been kind of a theme throughout this season, and I thought they did a pretty good job. This second period was much better than ones we've seen in the past few games. Levshunov had played a big part in that. The first 10 minutes really was all Blackhawks in that second period, but the Leafs had a few good shifts as the period progressed. Morgan Riley capitalized on one of those, probably the best Leafs shifts of the game, with a goal to give the Leafs a lead. Now, this was challenged by the Blackhawks for a high stick by William Nylander that occurred just a few seconds before the Riley goal, and it was an unsuccessful challenge, which was a little bit surprising. I don't think anyone agrees with that. I mean, let me know in the comments if you do agree with that call, but that was a little bit of a questionable call. Apparently, the NHL didn't have enough evidence to overturn the call, but I mean, if you just pull up my Twitter page at Blackhawks Focus, take a look at the clip. I don't know what more evidence you need to overturn that, but luckily it didn't end up harming the Blackhawks negatively overall. But that was kind of a questionable call. Gave the Leafs a lead and a power play, which the Blackhawks were able to kill off. They were pretty good on the penalty kill in this one. But though trailing after two, the Blackhawks responded in the third period. The first Blackhawks goal to tie the game was from Teuvo Teravainen. Frank Nazar made a slick pass to Turbo, and he had a silky move to tie up the game. And then the Blackhawks scored again later in the period. It was Colton Dach who tipped in a shot from Louis Crevier, who's been just quietly really good at just getting shots off and on net from the point. There's been multiple times throughout this season that Crevier's gotten pucks in the net. Sometimes they went in. He's scored a few goals this year, but sometimes they create rebound chances or tips, deflections in front like this one from Dach. Crevier's picked up a few points over the last few games, which is rewarding for his play, and Colton Dach got on the board to give the Blackhawks a 3-2 lead. That ended up being the final score. The Blackhawks were able to hold it down. Leafs pressured late, but the Blackhawks stayed tall, and that was it. Blackhawks went on and closed it out to win 3-2, despite losing or winning less than 40% of the faceoffs. That continues to be a number. It's going to be tough with probably your best centerman and Jason Dickinson still out of the lineup, but even with poor faceoffs, they've still been finding ways to win. Do want to get into some of your takeaways. I post these on Twitter at Blackhawks Focus. First one here says, I know it wouldn't have counted, but Knight should have just flung the puck down at the end. Well, he deserved to do that after how good of a game he had. Next one says, awesome game, awesome win. UC was rocking through the TV. Love the pregame ceremony, especially Pat. Yeah, the Blackhawks held a pregame ceremony. It was a little bit delayed due to some malfunction with one of the curtains or something. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what happened, but that delayed puck drop. But they did hold a nice ceremony honoring some Blackhawks legends before the game. That was nice, and the crowd showed up for that. It was a packed United Center. Some of the chances that the Blackhawks generated in that second period, the UC was just rocking. Everyone was going nuts, so it was a really fun game even just to watch. The crowd was real into it. Next one says, second game for my kids, first one being the OT loss Wednesday, and my daughter balling, huge win, biggest win. Let's go, Hawks. Yeah, Blackhawks have continued to play pretty good hockey. Now that New Jersey one, it wasn't their best game, but they still found a way to get a point, which just is another reason or another thing to point to when asked about the Blackhawks' improvement this season. They're finding a way to get points, even in games they don't play their best. And tonight, real strong effort versus a Maple Leafs team that's been in the playoffs the past few years. Now, they were definitely shorthanded in this one, so the Blackhawks caught a little bit of a break In that front, no Austin Matthews, no Carlo, no Tanev, no Stolars. Joseph Wall was making his first start of the season, so a few variables for the Maple Leafs, but a win is a win. You don't ask how in this league. Next one, no Bertuzzi, no Renzel, no goals from Bedard or Nazar, and we still win. We will be in the playoff hunt minimum. Yeah, no Bertuzzi in this, though, even though the Leafs were missing guys. Blackhawks missed a few as well. No Bertuzzi, no Dickinson, and Bedard and Nazar didn't score. Now, Nazar played pretty well. He got a point on the turbo goal. Bedard, unfortunately, was not able to extend his point streak in this one, but I'm sure he will take the win. Next one here, exciting to watch, fun to watch, very different team than what we've seen in the past few years. Excited for the future. Yeah, pretty much what I just said there. You copied my take. Next one says the kids are all right for sure. Artie really showed it today. It's just, obviously Connor showed it throughout this year. Frank had a good game as well in his first game back from injury. Let's see. Artie's looked good and is gaining confidence. Yeah, finally got an Artie one here. This was, like I said earlier, I think this was Levshinov's best game in the NHL. Let me know your thoughts on this one from Levshinov. I'm actually curious to hear if you would agree with that statement. I thought he was really, really good. We're back. I love this team. Let's go. My takeaway is Hawks win. Yes, sir. Last one here says hard fought. Beat two Toronto teams, the Leafs and the Situation Room. Artie's just getting better and better. Strong response being down. They played mostly winning hockey. Yeah, this was a solid effort from the Blackhawks. That call, which was the high stick, I'm sure, that's being referenced here, was a little bit questionable. I saw a lot of people pointing out that the Situation Room is in Toronto. So not sure that played an impact, but who knows? Maybe it did. Blackhawks have an off day tomorrow, practice Monday, and then they will take on the Flames back at the United Center on Tuesday. That's the next game for Chicago. Hopefully we get a Nick Foligno update soon, hoping he's all good, but hopefully these upcoming off days will allow him to heal, along with Tyler Bertuzzi and Jason Dickinson. Hopefully Bertuzzi, he should be probably available for Tuesday's game, judging off the fact he was participating in morning skate this morning. So I'd imagine he'd be good to go for Tuesday's game. We'll see. Jason Dickinson, we'll see as well. We'll see in practice Monday. Make sure to follow me on Twitter because I will give some practice updates for that one. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Big win for the Blackhawks versus the Maple Leafs. They win 3-2. That'll do it.